This video illustrates the steps required to install an under eave rafter mount and assumes you've already selected your best mounting option location. The mount can be installed on an open or covered eave. For this demonstration, we'll be mounting to an open eave. First, identify two adjacent rafters you will be attaching the rafter bracket to that are either 16 inches or 24 inches apart. There must also be clearance for the monopole to install into the ends of the same rafters. Identify the center of the two rafters you will be installing on. If installing to a covered eave, using a stud finder is often easiest. You can also look for nail heads and measure back to your selected location. Nails are usually on 16 or 24-inch centers. Hold the rafter bracket through the center grip holes and place it against the rafters with the lag bolt holes centered over the rafters. Using a 1/4-inch nut setter and drill, temporarily attach to the rafter bracket with the two screws from the screw clips through the small holes that are found between the lag bolt holes. This will keep the rafter bracket in place when pre-drilling the holes for the 4 2-inch lag bolts. You want to leave about a 1/2 inch material at the end of the hole for the lag bolt to bite into. Next, pre-drill the 4 holes using the 7/32 or 3/16 inch drill bit. Fill the holes with silicone sealer. Permanently attach the rafter bracket with 4 2-inch lag bolts using a drill torque setting that will drive the lag but not cause injury or damage. Confirm the bolts are fully tightened by hand, tightening the bolts using a 1/2 inch socket and ratchet. Attach the angle bracket to the footplate with 4 hex head threaded bolts. Attach the angle bracket assembly to the rafter bracket by threading the 4 hex head threaded bolts through the angle bracket into the pre-threaded holes on the rafter bracket. Then, fully tighten the bolts using a 1/2 inch socket with a ratchet. Reposition the ladder in order to safely work against the fascia. Next, level the mast. When using the bubble level inside of the mast, it must be removed and reseated to ensure it will provide an accurate reading. Then verify the mast is level and plumb using a magnetic torpedo level. Fully tighten all 4 of the mast lockdown bolts. Then, double check to verify the mast is level and plumb. Next, we'll install the monopoles into the ends of the same rafters used for mounting the rafter bracket. First, loosen the monopole clamps and slide the monopoles over the mast. Raise the monopole foot to the mounting location and mark the holes for the 2 3-inch lag bolts to be installed into the center of one of the rafters. Both lag bolts should be installed into the ends of the rafters behind the fascia. Using a 7/32 or 3/16 inch drill bit, pre-drill 2 2.5 inch deep holes for the 2 3-inch lag bolts. Fill the holes with silicone sealer. Mount the monopole footplate with 2 3-inch lag bolts using a drill torque setting that will drive the lag but not cause injury or damage. Fully tighten the bolts with a 1/2 inch wrench or a socket and ratchet. Repeat the same steps to install the second monopole. Position the monopole clamps as high as possible on the mast, leaving room for the ODU. Monopole mast clamps should never be placed on the bend. Please note that the center monopole clamps must be tightened last. If you tighten them before the ends of the monopole, then the mast will be pulled out of plumb, or the center clamps will be pulled loose when you tighten the monopole mast clamps. Tighten both monopole mast clamps using a 1/2-inch wrench or socket and ratchet. Then, tighten the lockdown bolts on both monopole footplates. Verify the mast is still plumb and level. Adjust it if necessary. Tighten the center clamp bolts on both monopoles. Finally, double check that the mast is still plumb.